Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel. So we have a new Tron movie coming out next month. Yeah, I'm not excited for it. I mean, look, I have my doubts about this movie being good, but I will reserve judgment until I see it. And who knows, maybe it could surprise me at the end of the day, because I've certainly seen my share of movies where I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, and then I go, wow, that was pretty good. But until then, at least I have an excuse to review the original two Tron movies. And we're going to kick things off with my retro review for the original Tron, which came out in 1982, written and directed by Steven Lisberger. The movie follows Kevin Flynn, played by Jeff Bridges. He is a computer programmer slash video game developer who was once employed by the Encom Corporation. He also developed the game Tron, and the head of Encom, Ed Dillinger, has decided to take credit for that game. So to prove that Kevin Flynn was in fact the creator of Tron, he tries to hack into the Encom servers, but ends up getting sucked into the world of Tron, aka the grid, by the Master Control Program. So Kevin Flynn has to basically navigate his way across the grid, defeat the Master Control Program with the aid of a program named Tron, which was created by his work partner, Alan. I couldn't tell you when I first saw the original Tron. I know I was a kid and too young or too stupid to really appreciate the kind of movie that this was. I just remember my dad showing it to me when I was really young and not liking it. I'm a kid of the 90s, so I grew up with movies like Jurassic Park and the Star Wars prequels, Lord of the Rings, and other movies that basically pushed the boundaries of what they could do with computer animation, and made me go, oh my god, they brought dinosaurs back to life. And watching Tron as a 90s kid, it was just very unappealing. I ended up seeing it a second time in prep for Tron Legacy back in 2010, so I had a little more appreciation for that movie, but still didn't really grab me. Now I'm watching this movie again as a 34-year-old man, and my appreciation for the original Tron has spiked significantly. Now, I think this movie has problems, but considering that this movie came out in 1982 and attempted to be a movie that utilized an entirely CG landscape, it's pretty impressive. Aside from Jurassic Park, I mentioned that some of the earliest examples of computer animation that broke ground was the Liquid T-1000 in Terminator 2, or the water tentacle from James Cameron's The Abyss. So those movies definitely helped break ground when it came to CG looking photorealistic. Tron wasn't quite there yet. This is more in line with The Last Starfighter CG, where, yeah, it's kind of appealing to watch, but it certainly doesn't look photorealistic. And I gotta say, if you've not seen The Last Starfighter, I'd say give it a watch, because it's a really charming movie. But the reason I can excuse the way Tron looks as opposed to The Last Starfighter is because all the CG elements in Tron take place within a computer itself. So it makes sense for this movie to have the look that it does, whereas all the CG elements of The Last Starfighter are in our real world, so it looks fake. I think that's the overall appeal of the original Tron and why it's gained a cult following, because of its look. It was one of the first movies, like I said earlier, to use an entire landscape made in a computer. And again, because it's set in a computer, it actually works. It has its own charm to it, and it has a distinct look that no other movie has. When you look at this movie, you think, yeah, that's Tron. It also has a very unique 80s sounding score from Wendy Carlos. It just fits perfectly with the visual look of this movie, in the same way that the score for the sequel would fit the visual look of that movie. But that's for next week. The story and characters are fine. They're not anything too spectacular. In fact, the biggest problem I have with the movie is the way the story is told. It's a little too convoluted, and you really have to be paying attention to what's going on because of the way this film's structured. In terms of its undertones of religion and faith, this movie does a pretty good job at covering that. There's this idea that the programs have that they're being controlled by somebody called the user, and it's basically an allegory for religion. When Kevin Flynn is having a conversation with Tron, Tron is basically delighted to be talking to a user and thinks that they're all perfect, and Kevin's just like, yeah, we're not all that perfect there. Huh? So that's a really cool idea that this movie explores. It doesn't go into too much depth into it. It's not going to expand your mind or anything, but for a movie that is mostly set on being a visual spectacle, it does that aspect very well. The acting's pretty good. Jeff Bridges is just as charming as he ever is. This is obviously pre-dude Jeff Bridges, but he still gives a charming performance. Bruce Boxleitner as Alan in the real world and the program he creates, Tron, is also really good in both roles. David Warner makes for a good villain, not just as Ed Dillinger, but also the commander who serves the Master Control program, who he also voices. So talk about taking on 3 different villain roles in one movie. Again, the actors do a good job, they're charming, and they do the best they can with the confusing, story of the movie. Again, once you know what the story is, you understand it, but the way the movie is told, it certainly doesn't help at all. This is very much a movie that is a product of its time. Unlike other 1982 classics like E.T. or The Thing or even Blade Runner, where, yeah, they were made in the 80s but are timeless, this is very much a product of the 80s. And I don't mean that as a criticism, because it has its unique look to it. There's no other movie that you can think of to compare to Tron in terms of its visual look. It's exciting. All the action scenes are really creative. They're fast-paced. The light cycle battle is actually really well done considering the technology they had at the time. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but 43 years after this movie has come out, I can definitely see why it's gained a cult following, and I'd say it's good. It's not great by any means, and if you're much younger than me, like say if you're Gen Z or younger, you're probably gonna not like this movie at first, but if you go in with the mindset that this was how things were in the 80s, it was a product of the time, so you have to appreciate it for what it is, then I think you'll really enjoy Tron. And there you go, that's my review for Tron. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, one of the things that has led to this movie gaining a cult following is that it's considered to be a big box office bomb for Disney. And that's not actually true. It's similar to 1941 from Steven Spielberg, where technically it made money, it made more than its budget, but it wasn't that big of a hit to be considered a success. So nothing really came out of Tron, and again, it gained the cult following that it's earned over the years, but 28 years later, it finally got a sequel that gave everyone the answer of, what would this kind of movie be like with modern technology? And that's Tron Legacy. I'll be reviewing that movie next weekend because I certainly have a lot to say about that one. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I want to give a special thank you to my subscribers and YouTube members right over here. You guys are the reason why this channel continues to grow every day, and if you want to help to financially support the channel, you can do so via YouTube memberships for as little as $1.99 a month. But until next time, I want to know what you guys think about Tron. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on these social media platforms and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.